Today's topic is...
Why Warhammer might be a bad girlfriend?
No, she's beautiful. She's articulate. Look, she's...
Yes, and that's why your wallet has a black eye.
No, I just ran into a tax season. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to WAYPN. I'm Cal.
And I'm Sunny.
Today's topic is...
Why being a Warhammer fan is really hard.
Yes, or why it's like dating a unfortunate lady.
Unfortunately.
Well, yeah, no, because, look, we talked about it. This is our third attempt on it, and the thing is, right, the parallels are unfortunate.
A little too uncanny.
Yeah, no, so we started out, and when we started out, we talked about a couple of key things. Like, for example, you're like, well... You like the Primaris Marine models, but you don't like the lore. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I don't. And I think that that's a reasonable thing. The lore is completely messed up, but the sycophants are just...
Eating up the buttered noodles.
Yes, buttered noodles. That's what I was imitating then.
But yeah, and then we also talked about how you really like what they are doing now in terms of models and the sculpts.
Yeah, well... So some of the times, for example, the Loon Court, oh my god, they're amazing. I love those models, right? They're the exact right balance between being overly detailed and having all of those broad open surfaces to paint, right? To show off your skills, right? So somebody who's just trying to get it to game standard, they can show it off and they can make a great model. Somebody who wants to make display models, they can really show off their skills.
Yeah, it works for all ranges of skill levels and it's a user-friendly product.
Yeah.
As compared to some of the more complicated stuff, like even the Blood Bowl Norse team that you were painting, they had like way too many overlapping parts. And
that's the Blood Bowl people in
general.
general.
So like you have a bit of hit or misses with Games Workshop models because like some of the times they go way too complicated, some of the times they just make it complicated enough, but they're not seeming to put it all as a standard. There's no standard.
Well, yeah, and see that's part of the issue, right? And some of the times they think like special edition means that I have to make the most complicated model ever. Like there's this Primaris Lieutenant that somebody was showing off, and I saw like they've got a medallion which is on a belt which is overlapped by a purity seal or something, and I'm just like, oh my god, what a nightmare to paint.
Yeah, and that just makes people not want to paint, you know, like it just defeats the purpose.
But the other thing was you were starting to bring up other things, like you're like, oh, there's a faction you like,
the Votan one.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, that they did everything right with this, right? So the Votan, their attempt to bring squats back in, which were essentially space dwarves, which was everything that 40k used to do. Like Eldar are just space elves, right?
Yep.
But the thing is, the Eldar have a lot more to them than just space elves. Like, sure, Eldar are just high elves in space. If you want to take the simplistic view, sure, but they've got aspects of, like, samurai culture. They've got all of these different things mixed into them, and, like, it's really fantastic, right? And if you take a look at Necrons, they're just, Tomb Kings in space.
Yes.
And like, the thing is, if you look at it that way, sure, and that's a fun way to explain it. But Votan are the stone men from the lore, right? They are the people who created the Men of Iron, right? And they've incorporated that with the Ironkin and all of this other sort of thing. And like, they really thought it out.
But when it comes to you wanting to actually purchase some of these kits and models, you're paying like $1 bajillion.
Yes. And like, this is just a basic, right? They just keep hiking the prices. They just keep hiking them up. And okay, now before you used to be able to work somewhere between 2 to 3 standard hours as an Australian, and yes, Australians are notorious for being on the bad end of the
pricing scale.
Yes, I was going to say, the worst of girlfriends, they're definitely getting the black eye with the wallet. The thing is, you used to be able to work 2 to 3 standard hours, get a box of Space Marines, a tactical Marine box, right? That'd give you $50 to $75, right? But now you are spending $125 for 5 models. And I'm not talking about like big guys, like for example, say Tyranid Warriors, or like...
You're talking like Space Marines, like small guys, standard guys.
Yeah, standard guys. And that's the thing. And when I take a look at it, here's another example, right? Alright, I think that they did really well with the Votann in a number of ways. One of the ways they did well is they stuffed up the codex, but they automatically said, hey, we stuffed up. They even made a joke about it when we're James Workshop and all of this sort of thing. But these codexes cost just a ridiculous amount of money, right? And these aren't collector's items, right? There aren't people going back and buying all of these codexes.
These are like in use, in production stuff that, people are still buying to play actual games with.
Yeah, they need them for the games. And like most other game systems have gotten away with that idea. They've just like, all right, just buy the models or just buy the rules. The thing is, they say we're either miniature agnostic or here are the rules for free. Just these are the models for this, and this, right?
Right, exactly.
And the thing is, you take a look at that and you're just like, how do you justify this? How do you justify this? And when it comes to that, right, you're not just competing with, for example, the competitors, the boogeymen out there like 3D printing. Oh, you can either buy an army from Games Workshop, a whole army, or you can buy a 3D printer, 3 bottles of resin, print one army, and then be ready to print an infinite amount more. No, they're not just competing against their direct competitors. All right, let's say you wanted to buy one army, right? If you do that, you're also competing against the Xbox, the PlayStation, Steam libraries.
Right, okay. So in that sense, like, do you think that Games Workshop is communicating their intentions well? You are saying that they're doing some things right and some other things they're really stuffing up. So at this end of the scale, will there even be a hobby at the end of the day, like in the future?
Well, they have learnt in some aspects. So I said that they stuffed up the Primaris law, right? And I think that's a reasonable take, but there are some people who will just screech to the ends of the earth about it, and then there are other people who will, as I said,
just,
right?
Eat it up.
Yeah. And then they brought out these new Terminator models. These new Terminator models, they look fantastic. And they're not Primaris Terminators or anything like that. There's even memes about it. It's like, what are you? Primaris or Firstborn? Loyalist. And like they realized they didn't have to create that whole mess. They could have brought out the Primaris Marines and just said, oh, it's the new armor. The new armor gives you all the fancy stuff.
Right, okay.
Right? We can see that they learnt from things, but they're not saying, hey, guys, we see that the Primaris law is a bit of a mess. We're going to work on integrating it, just like we did with the Necrons. Instead, they say nothing.
Right, so it's like as if you're texting your girl and she doesn't respond, and then once in a while you'll get a nice little something in your messages, and then still a simple "I still love you, babe."
Yeah, well, I think it is the worst kind of relationship, right? This is the thing that I don't think people have gotten through their heads, right? Warhammer community, Twitter, Facebook, all of these various areas where they blast out information with a megaphone. This isn't somebody responding to your feedback. It's like, text your girl, oh, I had a bad day. Can we chat? Nothing.
Right, exactly.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And then 3 days later, ooh, here's this nice looking picture, baby. And it's like, yeah, but where were you when I actually needed it?
Yeah, exactly my point, yeah.
And see, like, the thing is, that's that's the same thing. But we've seen that they can do good things, right? We've seen with the Votan thing that they acknowledged that they stuffed up and that they responded well. But even more recently, there was a thing with the lion, and I promised the manager of the store in our local area years and years ago, I would be the first person to order the lion from you if he came out here, right, in 40K. And the thing is, I was looking online, I was trying to find all the information, right, and I was going to the website because I have to be able to order at the store for him to be able to get the sale.
Yeah, if
right?
you order online, the stores don't get the sale. It's the online platform.
And so I look at that, right, and I'm like, I can't see the lion. Have I stuffed up? And I hadn't. They just stuffed up the pre-orders. And the thing is, unfortunately, their employees get the bad rap. But the thing is, I've heard that they treat their employees great, fantastic. In fact, even that manager, he talks about how good they were to him, you know, his 10-year thing, you know, went on a trip. He loves it. And it's infuriating. It is like being with a bad girl.
Right. So hearing you say all these things, is it worth for people to continue investing in this hobby, the Warhammer hobby? And like I said before, is there a future for this hobby with the way things are going?
I think, unfortunately, because of the sycophants, there will be a future for the hobby, but I'm not sure I like that future, right? I mean, the thing is, it's like those girls who have the sycophantic followers. You know, it might seem nice at the time, but as you get older, you know, you find out, oh, they just chase the hot new thing.
Right.
You know, they're not going to be there in old age with you.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how I feel about it.
Like you're a loyal customer, you come back to it all the time, but you don't feel you're benefiting from your investment into it.
Yeah. Essentially, I am GW's scorned lover. All I want from them is to be able to say, all right,
you just want to be heard.
Yeah. And that's the issue, right? And I want to be able to afford to be in this hobby.
Okay, babe, we will stop going to any expensive restaurants.
Yeah, it does feel that way, like I'm in a bad relationship.
It does sound that way.
All right, guys, that's pretty much it. Yeah, just if you could keep it affordable and listen, and when you do wrong, apologize. That's it.
So it's just 3 simple things.
All right.
And you know what to do, Games Workshop.
Keep those brushes wet.